On hand to pay tribute to our United States of America, and we'll do so with the singing of our national anthem. So if you would please rise and remove cover. Once again, it's Taylor Davis.
Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Beautiful rendition. She will be performing tonight starting at 10 o'clock p.m. at the Aiken Brew Pub. If you'd like to join her, thank you very much, Taylor. While she exits, we're close to our first horse now, and we'll introduce you to Chad Wilkes, the master of the hounds at the Aiken Hunt. He's here to sound the call before the start of our customary competition in our International Hunter Derby. There he is, Chad Wilkes, once again, and that is the customary call as we're about to welcome in our top of the order. We've got 23 starters, every one of them trying to demonstrate their best style possible and earn their right to come back in a second round of competition. Be earlier on, but he's going to ride today at the international level. This is the, for lack of a better term, Grand Prix of the hunter world, the most challenging of jumps, meant to bring brilliance and excitement back to the hunter sport as it was brought into the fold back in 2007, and it has done a fantastic job of that, bringing a lot of attention back to the hunter field. Daniel Geithner rides here with the Laura Kramer entry, Saint-Tropez. It's number 638, and again will be one of our 23 starters. Again, style is the number one concern. High option. Daniel Geithner again showing the way. He did so as well in the National Derby earlier on. Right now, again, he's here aboard Saint-Tropez, number 638. This one owned by Laura Kramer, a 12-year-old Hanoverian by a stenograph. Daniel Geithner, of course, a very accomplished professional, now several decades living in Aiken, South Carolina, his base of operations. So, Rachel, you had a chance to walk the course here today and check things out. Dean Reinheimer designing the route. First of all, while I'm talking about that, it's quite the transition that needs to be made to bring the special events arena into form for our national and international hunter derbies. It's usually a schooling area, but fantastic footing in a very big venue. Gives them a chance to really open up their strides and do a great job of accomplishing the goals of the International Hunter Derby, more accurately representing, I guess, what the sport of fox hunting would be in an arena setting such as this.
So when I walk the course, the jumps are actually very big. The low options are big, the high options are bigger, and it's a nice galloping course. I mean, Daniel just showed you, like he just galloped around and, was quite nice.
Now Daniel Geithner wrapping up his round there with the Saint-Tropez. He took 4 high options on the way around that course. And again, we've got 2 judging panels as mentioned. Shane George, Megan Young at position 1. At position 2, Chris Wynn and Jeff Case. Well, matching scores from both locations here, 83 and 83. Of course, each of those base scores will have a bonus of 4 points added on top. So effectively, it's 2 87s, and that'll be a 174 result here in the first round. 174 for Daniel and Saint-Tropez. Next, we go to number 271. 271 is the number assigned to Midas. It's an entry owned by Margaret Kemp. Holly Shepard will ride of Grand Bay, Alabama. Midas is an 8-year-old gelding. Of course, Holly a professional and has been riding to the highest levels of success for her entire life in both the hunter and the jumper ranks. She's had national champion and reserve championships, has been a top rider in the USHJA standings. The mount here, Midas, ribbons in international derbies, a 4th in the Devon Derby, and this will be the first class competing back this year. So again, it is Holly Shepard up on Midas. So Rachel, as I mentioned during the first round there, I talked about the fact that back in 2007 when the derbies were brought into the sport, it was an opportunity to sort of bring back the brilliance and the excitement of the international derbies. I know you've had your chance to compete extensively in the international and later national derbies. And so do you feel like the goals were accomplished there as they're trying to sort of make a Grand Prix for the hunter sport?
I think the goals were accomplished. I think the class needs just a little bit, like it needs a refresher. This is a very special class. Some other horse shows have a special standalone event, but so many times you just want the Derby to be a little more special. This is one of the derbies that the other shows should vie to tie with. Like, this is one of the best derbies all year, I think.
Yeah, indeed, and as we said, you have a very big arena here to hold this derby in. Sometimes you luck out with weather like this, but a setting like this can't be beat with a beautiful tree-line backdrop. And, of course, Aiken is such an equestrian town to begin with, so there's just a lot of vibe that goes along with this international derby here at the Aiken Charity. And then again is Holly Shepard ride Midas for Margaret Kemp. She took 4 of the high options as well. You're going to see most of these riders do what they can to get as many points as possible. There's a little bit of a decision to be made there. Do you really want to take the higher, more challenging options at those 4 locations, or is there any risk? And every one of the riders knows their horses well enough to make that decision on their own, but there is, of course, risk at the more challenging options that may make it not quite as good or as brilliant a jump. But the objective mainly is to show that great style over the fences, approach them nicely, keep an even pace all the way around, and show that you're comfortable, that you're stylish, and that you are safe for a rider as you'd need to be out on the fox hunting field as well. Scores of 78 and 77 coming into play here. So effectively it's an 82 and an 81 when you add the high bonus or high option bonus points. 82 and 81. That means a 163 result for Midas. Liza Boyd comes to us now with Gigi Menegald's entry Walkoff, a 7-year-old gelding and 3-time winner. Liza Boyd, of course, at the Derby Finals. This horse Walkoff has had a second-place finisher at the WCHR Spectacular this season, at the Winter Equestrian Festival. Also took top honors at the Aiken Spring Classic during their first week of competition just a few weeks back. So Liza Boyd, of course, quite accomplished and underway now with Walkoff. Certainly one of the icons of the sport, having earned that top finish in the International Derby on 3 occasions there in Lexington, Kentucky.
So this horse is jumping really, really well and landing and really celebrating how well he's jumping. Oh, he did just rub one and have one down, which is too bad. So that was really quite unfortunate. That horse totally came unglued. He jumped some really amazing jumps, and then he actually had 2 jumps down. So Liza just did a little training, settled on the last 2 jumps low, and ended on a good note.
Well, an unfortunate couple of knockdowns coming into play there for Liza and Walkoff, and she did attempt 2 high options, so she'll get the benefit of those. But you're about to hear that the knockdowns, of course, will also be reflected in the base score in the process. $41-35, the base scores there, along with the 2 high option bonus points coming into play as well. So that'll be an 80 result in the round. Next we go to Dynamo, and of course our top rider in the sport here this week. She's earned the most points throughout our regular 100 divisions and just comes off a national 100 Derby victory in the previous class in the professional ranks. It's Tori Colvin. She's up on number 107, Dynamo, and this is another John and Stephanie Ingram entry out of Nashville. 13-year-old mount by Andiamo Z, again, Dynamo on course.
So Dynamo, former ride of Peter Wild, horse purchased for John Ingram, and it's a pretty experienced Derby horse.
It's amazing what you can see in the horse's expression, and this is one that definitely has that confident look going around, and as you said, very experienced in the Derby field.
He just jumped up high and didn't get across. You know, even in the National Derby, it was funny. You walked the course and you thought, all right, this is going to be okay. And then when you came in, like, the horses jump up and they really make good jumps. And then, like, that was too bad. That was really too bad. It just, you know, Dean really gave the riders a test.
Well, another effort made there, and unfortunately resulting in 1 knockdown, and that could happen to anybody, horse or rider, on any given day. The back rail coming down there, and so that's also going to be reflected. They took 2 high options today, Dynamo and Tori Colvin. Scores of 46 and 45 coming in here for Dynamo and Tori Colvin, adding the 2 high option bonus points. That'll be a 95 result. So far, Daniel Geithner leads the way with the Saint-Tropez in a 174 effort. And we'll move on now to Sandy Farrell here aboard Hobbs Lane for Sunset View Farm LLC. Number 130 coming in. Sandy, another of our professionals riding out of Wellington. Hobbs Lane, a 9-year-old by Last Man Standing, again owned by Sunset View Farm from Richfield, Wisconsin. She's our 5th to go out of 23 starters here today in our International Derby $25,000 RBD Classic Cup. A feature event here, week 2 of the Aiken Charity. Of course, Sandy, a world champion hunter rider. We talked a few rounds back about Liza Boyd having earned a top finish during the WCHR week. That's been around for quite a long time, and Sandy Farrell competing, of course, at the Capital Challenge to top honors and a feature class for professionals there. I know your husband Oliver founding the Capital Challenger, one of the big indoor series events where many of these riders go to really prove their skill against the nation's best.
So, yeah, we do have the finals, the WCHR finals during that horse show. But the regular rider of this horse, Maria Rasmussen, got off of a horse after jumping around, got off of a horse and hyperextended her knee. And luckily, Sandy, who helps her on the ground, was here and could pick up the rides on all these horses. I'm not sure that Sandy's ever really even ridden Hobbs Lane.
And how do you go about taking on a new ride like that, knowing that you're gearing up for a big $25,000 class like this, Rachel?
I mean, for someone like Sandy, it's a no-brainer. You know, she just gets on and rides the horse. And basically, these are all horses that are at the top of their game, top level. Basically, the horses know what they're doing. And you just get on and let the horse do its job. And he just jumped around as good as could be.
Good effort there on a fairly new mount to Sandy Farrell with Hobbs Lane. She did choose the high option at just one location on her way aboard that Sunset View Farm mount. Scores coming in there for, again, Hobbs Lane and Sandy Farrell. We'll have those up for you shortly, preparing to see our 6th on course here today. Scores of 45 and 44. There was a rail down coming up and over number 8 there, and that's reflected in that score. So 45 and 44 plus 1 for the high option. That'll be a 91 result. So challenging course, as is the case in any top-level sport, and that's the case here for our International Derby. We're going to welcome Timothy Madrix in next with the Missy Nolan entry, Playmaker, number 576. 576 Playmaker of the 7-year-old Oldenburg by Pythagoras, and Timothy Madrix riding this entry out of Leeds, Alabama. Something just demonstrated during the finish of Sandy Farrell's round there, Rachel, and we saw it from our angle. Things looked great. As you were saying, Hobbs Lane doing a nice job of jumping around, but a rail down in a location that from our vantage point we couldn't see, and that's one of the hallmarks of the international judging format, is that our judges are at different locations, allowed to see this from different angles, and those judges were able to see something we weren't able to see. So that's a good point to keep in mind throughout the course of our competition here today. So far from our vantage point, looking good here for Timothy Madrix as far as keeping them all up anyway.
He really hit that one hard. It looks like it stayed up, but he really hit it hard. This horse looks like it's really getting a little bit nervous, and landed there on a cross canter.
Once again, just a single high option chosen here by Timothy Madrix and Playmaker. A 60 plus 65 will add one high option bonus point to that as well. So a 127 result for Playmaker and Timothy Madrix. We're about to see our 7th entry join us. It'll be 410 coming up. Hunt Tosh and the Douglas Wheeler entry, Cannon Creek, number 410. Hunt from Alpharetta, Georgia, of course, native to Georgia, and one of our top contestants throughout the course of the sport. Watched him compete quite nicely in last week's Hunter Classic. Today he'll join us aboard a 10-year-old Holsteiner mount by Kankara, Cannon Creek, number 410.
They're all taking a good look at jump number 2. It's a really solid, like, brown coupe with a rail over it. It's a big, stout jump for number 2.
In the whole course, and I'm not sure if the perspective is given from the camera angle here, but when you walk out onto the field and walk up to these jumps, they are probably bigger than you may recognize from your picture on the screen.
This horse is, I don't want to jinx it, but this horse is making easy work of this. He's scopy and stridey and jumps nice.
Once again,
They're all hitting that.
Yeah, topping that jump coming out of the combination at number 8. And it sounds like it is down by the report here. Again, we're at a bad angle to that fence specifically, and that's the one that a lot of them are having trouble with. And what a shame, like you said, because doing a great job over the fences here so far up to that point is Cannon Creek, but that rail's going to take a big chunk out of the score.
I don't even think Hunt knows it fell down. Like, he barely hit it, and then it bounced down.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's a split rail all the way around there. That's 4 going one way, 8 going the other way, and I think it's split rails all the way across, which are a little bit interesting when you run into them. They're not like the rounded rails that will roll back into the cups. If you hit them the right way, they're just going to topple out. Well, the scores coming in at 44 and 46. Once again, fence number 8, as they near the end of the course, they're coming down. That's been a bit of a bogey for our competitors here in the International Derby. The result, when you include the 4 high option bonus points, is a 98 result. Next to go, it's Christy Herrera. She found her way into the second round with 2 entries in our National Derby and has also been an International Derby champion years past. She's here aboard Emily Cherney's entry, Kenzie, number 211. This one coming to us out of Wellington, Florida. 211, Kenzie. So talk about what it takes to really keep these horses ready, especially when you consider the fact that you've got, she just showed several in the National Derby. She's now here with us, is Christy Herrera in the International Derby. Of course, we had the performance divisions going earlier today. So that's a lot just to keep up with throughout the course of a day. And you're here very, very early in the morning, very, very late after the show, because there's a lot of cleanup and horses sort of being taken care of at the end to do as well.
I think anyone that's here has a big enough staff that, you know, there's time in the day to get everything done that you need done. Christy's husband does a lot of her managing. I see him out in the morning lunging horses. She has really good girls that work for her that get things ridden for her. You just have to be organized, really organized.
And have the drive and the will to do that hard work. And eventually it gets in your blood to the point that you couldn't live without it.
Yeah, you can't live without it. Once you start doing this, you can't live without it. Now, she was smart there and took the low option and played it safe, and it probably, hopefully, will benefit her. Oh, shoot. So she got a little bit deep there and held her off, and the mare just really didn't jump high enough and just took that with her.
Well, trouble again later in the course. This time it's not fence number 8, but coming around to that vertical fence number 9, and that rail being pulled. She did choose the lower options throughout the course, and of course again with a knockdown, they will see the score reflect that. Well, 45.5, 44.5, the individual scores that will combine for a 90 result. They took the lower options throughout the course here today, and we are seeing demonstration of how challenging the Derby course is. Fittingly, of course, when we're offering up $25,000, but when you see a very good round, it just makes that very good round even more deserving of credit. And early on in this class, we saw Daniel Geithner post a total of 174 aboard Saint-Tropez. He's still leading the way with that score, and now he's back again with Nancy McBraer's Pen and Ink. This is number 760. Pen and Ink is a 10-year-old mount. Daniel Geithner again based in Aiken for the owner, Nancy McBraer from Alpharetta, Georgia.
So I have to say, as a rider myself, I think a lot of the riders out in the schooling area right now are completely freaking out about that jump. They're all trying to jump a big airy vertical. They're all talking to themselves. But I think Daniel, you know, some of the other riders that ride in the Grand Prix, I think they're just thinking, let's just jump around clear at this point.
Yeah, and as the rounds pass by here, and we've seen so many with knockdowns and scores in the 40s as a result of that, that's got to get in your head a little bit. You got to sort of have some distilled determination to just sort of get by that and not let it get to you. But it also means that the bar lowers a little bit to be able to get back into the top 12. Thinking about the fact that we're up to the 9th out of 23, we've only had a couple of scores at the level you'd expect to see in the return round.
Yeah, I think that now I'm sitting here next to you, but I think that everyone needs to remember to ride their horse and do what's best for their horse and believe in their horse. And I think when 5 of the top 9 have already had one down, you're probably going to take the low option there to be safe.
And a low option being chosen again by Daniel Geithner as he headed around there with pen and ink. We've seen more and more riders go to that low option fence all the way around as we get through here, and when they realize what the challenge is, pen and ink and Daniel Geithner have chosen that route. Again, he already leads with Saint-Tropez in a 174 score. And focusing again on the lower options and the style that you really want to reflect, because the base score is the most important part of this. And at some point, if you decide you don't necessarily need to take the more challenging fences, but you can demonstrate great style from your horse over the lower options, that is a wise decision. In this case, pen and ink and Daniel Geithner earned scores of 80 and 85. That means a 165 total. And Daniel right now holds first and second place with Saint-Tropez and pen and ink respectively. We're about to see our 10th of 23 starters. This time around, it'll be a David Jennings ride for Allison Ventura. This is Jordan Tinas, 14-year-old mount by Air Jordan. David out of his home base in Franklin, Tennessee, another of our professionals who excels at both the hunter and the jumper sides of the sport. Rachel, David competes, of course, in both the hunters and the jumpers successfully. What kind of adaptation do you need to make as you make that transition back and forth? Obviously, you're not nearly as worried about style in the jumper ring. Do you really have to think about that if you're a predominantly jumper exhibitor?
Not really. So many people cross over from the hunters to the jumpers. Todd Minicus, Molly Ash, Cully. So many people do it. And you know, it's just about riding and good riding. I mean, he's not riding this any differently than he would a Grand Prix. Maybe a little bit smoother, but, you know, he's not worrying about the time allowed either.
David completes a pretty nice round there with Jordan Tinas, does so taking all of the challenges, the higher options at all 4 locations. So he will benefit from those bonus points. They will go to on top of the base scores here, and we'll see how much that pays off with Jordan Tinas. While the scores are coming in, please keep in mind as well, this is our feature event today, the International Derby, a highlight of the hunters. Tomorrow, of course, our Grand Prix will be the finale for the jumpers in this arena. And we want you to remember about that 4 o'clock start time for the $50,000 class tomorrow. Scores are identical from both panels here today. David earning an 82 and an 82. He effectively has an 86 when you include the high option bonus points, and that's going to give him a total of 172. He's now going to get between the 2 Daniel Geithner rides into second place. So Daniel's going to be first and third, and David Jennings again into that second position. We'll have Tori Colvin coming up next, and she'll be joining us. Actually, this is number 197. It's actually Isabella Watson training with Tori Colvin, but Isabella riding Avatar Z, number 197 now. She'll be moving up in the order to compete next. 197 Avatar Z. The 9-year-old mount by Arco 3. Isabella Watson out of Lake Worth, Florida. Again, the owner and rider. Now, it would appear, as I mentioned here, we've got one of the Tori Colvin trained riders coming to us, moved up in the order. I think the reason for that being that Isabella Watson was originally in the 17th spot of the order. Tori Colvin was 19th in the order, and they wanted to find a way to put a little space between them so Tori could focus on her trainee and then get on her own horse and come back to compete herself without having too much rush in between there without very much space. So she's moved up here from 17th to 11th in the order. Once again, it's Isabella Watson with Avatar.
So this was a Derby mount of Tori's. This girl got this horse, I think, for her birthday as a gift. There was a big party in Florida, and they had the horse all decorated.
Pretty nice gift.
Yeah. And now she's been doing it in the Derbies.
That was a rough one going into that combination.
Pretty genuine horse. Yeah. Yep. That came down for sure this time. I was able to see it.
And hear it, unfortunately. Having a little bit of a hard time keeping the momentum here as we get toward the end of the course as well. Maybe having a little doubt after they had the trouble earlier on.
I mean, this might be her first Derby on this horse. I think she could just be nervous.
It's a big field of competition, and again, a big challenge. We see the rail coming down there at fence number 8 atop the split rail, and so that will be reflected. A score of 42 and 43 once again does reflect the knockdown there, and you'll see that they did take one high option as well. That's going to go up on the scoreboard there on the far end of the field, but the result will be an 87 total. Five scores at this point over the 100 mark total, and the best of them still the first one out of the blocks, Daniel Geithner in Saint-Tropez with his 174. We got David Jennings just behind, and another Daniel Geithner in the third spot up to this point. 5:54 comes up next. Here is Highlighter. It's Jennifer Jones riding the David Raposa sales entry. Jenny based out of Clinton, New York now with this 9-year-old Dutch warm-blood mare by Bernini. Top finisher in last year's $250,000 Hunter Prix in Saugerties, New York. And again, a top rider, Jenny Jones, with Highlighter, number 554. Jenny taking higher options here to try to hedge her bets. She's up and over number 3 at this point. We'll see if she keeps that up as she rounds the bend to number 4. Years back, Jenny, a very up-and-coming rider when she was in her junior years, rode with the late Judy Young, based out of Camden, South Carolina. Went on to compete nicely, of course, all over the country and internationally as well. Now based out of Clinton, New York.
Jenny's doing a really nice job keeping this horse together because it looks like it wants to kind of get away from her.
Sort of an anxious appearance going around here.
She's jumping up for sure. That was nice.
A nice final
Jumped
fence.
up.
Higher options all the way around here for Jenny Jones with highlighters, so she'll get the benefit of those bonus points. Score comes in at an 86 from both panels here, effectively a 90 when you include the bonus scores, and that means a 180 and a new lead here in our International Derby. In the chase for a top 12 position, Jenny's doing a nice job of securing her return opportunity with highlighters, so nicely done. We've got our 12th on the original order coming to us, Liza Boyd. Again, a three-time International Derby champion. Here now aboard Sherry Crawford's Corento, number 305, out of Marshall, Virginia. This, an aged Holsteiner mount by Caratino. And, of course, Liza, the professional based out of Camden.
Liza's won a lot with this horse. She really enjoys riding it. She looks like she enjoys riding it. He's a game little horse. He just looked there like he was looking back at the in-gate. Got a little bit behind her leg, and she kind of had to get into him. Oh. Jumped up high, landed, and then he bucked up.
I want you to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, while you're watching online here, that we are watching from our own vantage point. We are in our separate booth over here to do our commentary. Judges are located at two other positions around the arena here. And so what we're seeing, of course, is even different from the two judges, and what you're seeing is even slightly different from the camera angle. Liza right now with Corento making her way around. She rocked fence number 9 there, but it stayed up, so she's looking okay so far in the grand scheme. Two high options coming in play here for Corento. Again, Liza Boyd with the Sherry Crawford mount. Scores are 79 and a 78. Include the high option bonus points, and effectively that's an 81 and an 80. So a 161 total in the round here today for Corento. And again, Liza Boyd. Liza's got another one coming up here later, so we'll see her again. But for now, it's Holly Shepard's return. Here she is aboard Helen Brown's Tybee, number 243. Again, Holly based out of Grand Bay, Alabama. This is a 13-year-old gelding. Again, Holly's had wins in the International Derbies, Grand Prix wins as well, and of course for decades a top-level professional in the sport. A first-round Derby Finals winner is Tabby from just a couple years back. They've also had victories in the qualifying international Derby classes, and a top finisher in the Gulfport, Mississippi Derby, part of that series of success. Tabby, and again, Holly Shepard for Helen Brown, number 243.
So Holly's another one, Brian, you were talking about going from the jumper ring to the hunter ring. Holly's another one that consistently rides and wins in both rings. She also knows this horse like the back of her hand. She's ridden it for many, many years. She's been through a lot with this horse. You know, I think she reads him like a book.
You know, I was going to mention myself that Holly's got her own particular style.
So that she hit so hard that it actually bounced back, and it's not in the cups. So I'm really curious how the judges will handle that, if they even see it.
Well, it's two high options in play here for Holly Shepard and the Helen Brown entry. Tabby, number 243. '76 and '70, the scores from their different vantage points here for Tabby and Holly Shepard. So with those taken into account, along with the high option bonus, we'll have a 150 result there. And we are now up to 14th on the order of go. This will be Lafitte de Muse, a 10-year-old Belgian gelding by Darko, owned by Cheryl Olston of New Hope, Pennsylvania. Ocala-based professional Amanda Stege here for the ride. She's been a national champion, winner of several $50,000 and even $500,000 major hunter events in 2018, leading hunter rider at the National Horse Show in 2019, and last year's winner of the Peter Wetherill Award as well. A winner of the $50,000 WCHA Hunter Spectacular in Wellington this season is Lafitte de Muse. Once again, the rider Amanda Stege.
So he's jumping around quite nice. I think that she was a little slow there to the jump everyone seems to be having a problem with. Probably just being careful. He looks a little playful, a little bit, maybe that it's cooling off a little bit. Really hard rub in and a little bit low, I think, jumping out. But all in all, he went around nice.
It's three eye options coming into play for Lafitte de Muse and Amanda Stege, the Cheryl Olston entry. At the front of the pack right now, Jenny Jones and Highlighter with their 180 score. Right now we've got 8 left in the first round. Scores of 85 and 79 in play here for the Feed the Muse and Amanda Stege. The combined total there with the bonus points for the high options, a 170. 170 will go into fourth place right now. We've still got a 180 topping the card with 8 left. And the next to go is Dorothy Douglas. She's here with MTM Lola, LOL, by Los Angeles. The entry is owned by Abigail Davenport from Devon, Pennsylvania. They've competed in the first year and amateur owners along with their owner. Second in last week's $25,000 Hunter Classic main event. They also took a top finish during the Ocala Winter Classic in their International Derby and several other placings throughout big events in Ocala and at the Florida Horse Park this season. 10-year resident professional at MTM Farm out of Flower Mound, Texas, Tori Douglas. Again, our rider here with MTM Lola.
So here's another Grand Prix rider that also rides hunters. And I have to say she is this stylish and this quiet, jumping 1.45 m. She knows her horses inside and out. She works harder probably than anyone on these showgrounds. And she always has a smile on her face and is always happy.
But don't let the smile fool you, because she's aggressive, and that goes to show, of course, with last week's accomplishments, taking a welcome win. She took the 3 of her 4 entries into the jump off. She took 3 into the second round of that Hunter Classic, was second in the Classic when it was all said and done.
So she rode a little bit past the 9. She got up there quite early, and she just sat still. I mean, it was definitely different than all the other jumps. But let's see what the judges have to say about it.
4 high options there for Dory Douglas. Again, second in last week's Hunter Classic. She had quite the successful week in our jumpers as well. Very consistent throughout the week 1 activity. And again, she went for it as you would expect of the aggressive competitor there with all 4 of the high options. Scores of 87 and 84 for MTM Lola, LOL, and Dorothy Douglas. She'll score a 179 when you include the high option bonus. She's just a point shy of the first round lead at this point. We've got a 180 leading the way. Once again, 179 currently in that second position. And after that, we've got a couple Daniel Geithner and David Jennings entries in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions. But right now, Daniel Geithner ready to come back. He'll try on a 3rd mount to compete here. This one for Laura Kramer. It is Easy Money. Easy Money out of Upperville, Virginia. A 9-year-old Oldenburg by Fairbanks. Daniel again, Aiken, South Carolina based. The professional on his 3rd of 4 entries in the class. So there are a couple of riders in this sport who sort of became synonymous with being catch riders, and Daniel Geithner years back was definitely one of those. Of course, you've also got people like Aaron Vale, Holly Shepard, many others who just would pick up ride after ride. In fact, Daniel, when he first came to Aiken and based himself here as a professional, got a reputation for being so busy it was hard for him to keep up with his number of horses. But he's definitely gone from being that catch rider and riding everybody else's horses to having some great stock in his own barn for years now and having a great operation not too far away from Bruce's Field. In fact, he is part of the group that has brought Bruce's Field to what it is here today on the board. And as you can see, his opinion very respected for good reason, because he's got 2 of our top horses so far. This is his 3rd ride. Getting a little excited there coming after the Driftwood Oxer, fence number 5. So a little bit of a buck there from Easy Money on the landing side, and we're seeing a little bit of that again.
I think that it's cooling off a little bit. I think these horses have gone from the smaller sized ring to the bigger ring. I think the jumps are big for them. And they're really like reacting to it and, you know, getting playful and celebrating their ability.
Lower options all the way around the course here for Daniel and Easy Money, so they won't get the high option bonus points, but again, the base score and showing that style is the most important objective. Thanks one more time to Meadowview Farm for supporting our USHJA International Hunter Derby. They are our presenting sponsor of this event today. $75 from both sides of the arena here, and $150 will be the total for Easy Money and Daniel Geithner. Right now in 10th place, so Daniel's got a chance on 3 horses to come back currently, but we do still have 6 more to show in our first round before we adjust for the Derby handy trip. Up next, it's the 18th on the original order, and a 12-year-old Westphalian gelding by Cascari with owner-rider Cara Jones hailing from Cornelius, North Carolina. This will be Cello. Cara's competed in the international derbies as well as the Grand Prix. Currently a junior at the University of South Carolina just up the road, and she's majoring in finance and international business. She was a reserve finisher in the amateur owner 3-6 younger division in Horse of the Year points back in 2019. Top ribbons in the amateur owners at Pennsylvania National, Washington, and in Kentucky. And here she is again with Cello. It's Cara Jones. Folks, if you're watching online, certainly enjoying some quality hunter rounds here. It's been a challenging derby, of course. We've got several entries that had knockdowns on the course here. That's sort of leveled off a bit. We haven't seen those for the last several rounds. But in any event, we're still paying attention to the competition in progress. I don't want to be remiss and not mention the auction that's currently online. If you're watching in the streaming feed, compliments of Equestrian Digital Media, you can check out that auction as well. Go to aikenhorsepark.org/ACHS for a link to the auction. It's going to close Saturday, May 15th, so tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. Some great packages available from deep sea fishing trips. You can also pick up some great art by Betsy Wilson Mahoney and much, much more. Kentucky Derby 2022 passes are also in that auction among many other items. So check it out and support the nonprofit Aiken Horse Park, a charity organization.
So Cara's horse just didn't even get his eye on the last jump. He wasn't sure which one he was going to, and kind of switched his leads back and forth and then sighted in on the last jump.
Lower options all the way around the course there for Cello and Cara Jones. That was, again, the 18th of 23 starters, so effectively we're down to 5 left in this first round. Scores are 70 and 72 for Cara and Cello, that is. That will be a 142 result, 142. 5 remain. Tori Colvin is next, and here she comes with Glade Run Farms Ipso Facto, number 168. Again, she's based out of Loxahatchee, Florida, riding for the owners from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Glade Run Farm Ipso Facto, an 8-year-old now by Douglas. Colvin having trouble here today and got jumped out of the tack up and over 4. We're going to let Tori regain herself here, get herself together. That was some tough luck going over that split rail fence number 4. Medics are on the way here to make sure that she's okay. We know that Tori's quite the trooper, so we hope the best for her. We'll give her a few seconds to get collected. Well, she's up and to her feet, ladies and gentlemen. That's certainly good to see there. A bit of a harrowing moment. And even the bests have this exact same problem from time to time. A little bit unexpected coming out of the tack up and over fence number 4 and losing her mount. But again, nice to see the Tori's up. Encouragement is certainly appreciated if you want to give it to her. We'll make sure she's checked out. We've got a great medical staff here. Harvey's going to talk to Tori for just a moment, and we'll make sure that she's just fine. Hopefully no worse for the wear there, Tori Colvin, and I'm sure she'll have a better day ahead in later competition. All right, we're going to move on now to 498. That's Ava with Catherine Gerriel riding out of Aiken. She is here as one of our amateur competitors aboard a 14-year-old Holsteiner mount. Again, Ava, number 498. First of 4 left to go.
I think this is just a darling little horse. And it's just jumping around. They say the jumps are only as big as the horse you're riding, and the jumps must look so little on this horse because it just jumped around as cute as could be.
Lower options throughout the course for Catherine, Gerriel, and Ava, but again, the focus is on that style. If you can accomplish a great round jump to jump and a nice pace all the way around the course here and just pull it all together into a nice, perfect moving picture, that is your number one concern. Nicely accomplished by Ava and Catherine. We'll see what the judges thought about that. By the way, at this point, we're looking for scores of 127 or better to come back in the second round with just 4 scores yet to come in. They will return from low score to high, obviously taking into account as well multiple riders that they need to be split up here in the return order. We'll combine the scores of 81 and 84.5 for Ava and Catherine Gerriel. That means a 165.5. She'll be middle of the pack right now in 6th place, and our new cutoff is a 142. So 142 or better gets you into that round 2 action and a chance to go after the top share of a $25,000 prize here in our RBD Classic Cup. Once again, the competition continuing on, brought to us by Meadowview Farm. 494, another Holly Shepard ride coming up next. Holly is this time aboard Salter Heidinger's Anthem, number 494. Anthem, a 13-year-old Hanoverian by Argentinas. Holly based again out of Grand Bay, Alabama.
So this, Holly's riding this horse is one of those catch riding instances. This horse's normal rider had a bridle break when she was riding a horse at home and fell with it and broke her leg. And Holly and Hunt and Liza Towell are all helping Julie out, picked up the rides on, her horses. And her manager's doing a great job keeping everything organized. And this is one of those catch riding instances like we were talking about.
You know, the show must go on, and this is a testament to that. Hopefully Julie's able to watch what's going on here. I know it was a pretty tough fall and a pretty tough injury, but again, hopefully she's able to watch. And I know it's got to be tough to watch, especially when you spend so much time preparing horses and training them up to be able to do something like this and not be able to do it yourself. But we're thinking about you out there, Julie.
2 rails down.
A fairly recent combination of horse and rider, only recently taking up the reins with Anthem. Holly Shepard, unfortunately, in this attempt, does so with a 2 knockdown effort. Scores are 40 and 38 in the round here today, and including the 2 high option points, that will be an 82 result. Keep in mind, though, as I mentioned, that's a new mount for Holly. Her earlier entries are qualified to come back as of right now, so we are going to see her again in the second round. But for right now, it's Liza Boyd's turn to give it another shot. She's aboard 468 now, a Mary Caroline Nolan entry. This is Ferrari, 11-year-old mount by Thunder van de Zuthov, entry number 468, first of two lefts.
I have to say, that is a really spooky jump down there. It is dead solid and big. And Liza, it looks like Liza's just going to call it a day.
Well, trouble early on there at fence number 2, and our very accomplished professional and very experienced horsewoman Liza Boyd chooses not to continue further, opting to save Ferrari's efforts for another event down the road. Unfortunately, no score in the attempt here today. She will, at this point, have a qualifier on Corrento, so we are going to see her back in second round action. We've got one more before we adjust for that handy round. Fourth and final entry coming up from the schooling area right now will be Daniel Geithner. I say fourth and final for him. Daniel riding for West Meadow Farm LLC aboard the horse named Tropics. That'll be number 513. And he'll bring us to the end of this round 1. Daniel, again, hailing from Aiken. West Meadow Farm is based all the way across the country in Santa Barbara, California. And the Mount Tropics is a 10-year-old Self-Francais by Diorado. Daniel's had a pretty good day so far. National Derby qualifying to come back in the second round. He has already competed to worthy scores on his 3 prior entries and would like to make it a clean sweep of qualifiers now aboard Tropics. We'll see whether or not he can accomplish that, number 513. All right, all 4 high options taking advantage of every opportunity to get the bonus points here today, but also needing to do so in the style we look for in this type of competition. And Daniel Geithner, as I said earlier, has been successful so far here. 3 previous mounts have all been good enough to be a part of the top 12 callback. Whether or not Tropics can do that is still up to the judges, whose scores are coming in right now. But again, he will have the 4 high option bonus points to contribute to that effort. Scores of 84 and 84.25. Add to that the high option bonus points. We've got a 176.25 total there for Daniel. So that will go into third place. And Daniel has a slew of qualifiers for our round 2 action. So he's going to be a busy rider when we get into the return here. But for right now, we've got a 180 leading the pack. And if you make your way down through the list, 150 is the cutoff score. Those top 12 will return for the second round. You can see the crew is adjusting right now. Once again, hard at work. And, of course, tractors doing their work as well to keep the footing fresh. We'll be back with you here very shortly with return action in our $25,000 USHJA International Hunter Derby, presented again by Meadowview Farm. And we appreciate everyone who's been online with us watching the streaming coverage, and those of you who are with us right here at Bruce's Field. Back with you to describe that return course and talk about those who will be a part of the chase for that $25,000. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to take a quick moment to go over the difference between round 1 and round 2 competition here in our International Hunter Derby as we're about to advance to see the top 12 joining us. The second round does pretty much the same thing, takes into account a horse's ability, pace, jumping style, comfort, and safety for a horse and rider. But in the second round, there is the added dimension of the handiness. If you're in trappy hunt country, you need your horse to be able to adapt to that country, and handiness is a way to assess that. So let's quickly go over the course, first of all, starting over fence number 1, of course, and that is the tan-colored oxers heading toward the judge's side, the brownstone walls, and this time around on the approach, the right side is the higher option. So they'll have a chance right off the bat to gain the additional point there. Number 2 is the split rail snake fence there on each end, or the whiskey barrel wings, but it is the end closest to the judge and 2 sections away from that that'll be fence number 2 going toward the gate. The one furthest from the judges will be the higher option at fence number 2. Number 3 is the living jump, and that one's going toward the scoreboard this time around as fence number 3, and then they'll take it down to a trot. Handiness displayed as they approach the whiskey barrel vertical going in front of the judges stand here at fence number 4. Number 5 is the split rail snake fence going away from home. The one closest to the in-gate side of the ring is the lower option. 2 sections away from that, the higher option at fence number 5 going toward the scoreboard side of the arena. Then they go to fence number 6. That one going back the opposite direction, actually over the driftwood oxer toward the postage stamp schooling area. Number 7 and 8 is the combination, and then number 9 is the birch oxer, where they'll finish things out with the right side being the higher option for our horses and riders, and they have to make that decision if they want to take the more challenging fence to get the higher scores, bonus opportunity in effect there. But as we saw in the first round, it is not an easy course, but much of a challenge. And so they may take the lower side so that they can more display their style over the jumps than take the challenge and just get that additional bonus point. But keep in mind as well, on top of the classic style score, we will have the high option bonus points, and we will also have a handy bonus. The judges are allowed to award up to 10 points on each panel there based on the horse's handiness, and we'll see how that unfolds throughout the course of this second round of competition. 12 qualifiers. They'll be back here very shortly. Of course, Daniel Geithner has 4 of the 12, so he's going to be quite busy, and he had to switch horses to get on his lower-ranked mount in qualifying before he could come back in. So that's going to be easy money. Easy money scored a 150 to qualify for the return here today. He had to switch off horses to get ready for that. So we're just about ready to see things in that second round of action, and we'll be ready maybe just a minute or 2 away for our competition here. Once again, a thanks to Meadow Farm for sponsoring our $25,000 USHJA International Hunter Derby. Thanks also to everyone who has already played a role in our auction. It's online right now at aikenhorsepark.org/ACHS if you want to see the auction items, including the Kentucky Derby 2022 package, generously donated by the Duchessois family. We also have a deep-sea fishing trip donated by Penalty Box Fishing, commissioned artwork by Aiken artist Betsy Wilson Mahoney, and much, much more. That's going to close tomorrow at 11:59, just shy of the noon mark, as we celebrate our final weekend of the 2021 Aiken Charity Horse Show. Tomorrow is also a feature day of competition with our $50,000 Grand Prix happening, and that will start up at 4 o'clock here tomorrow afternoon. So make a note of that time change, 4 o'clock for our Grand Prix. Before we get to the competition, it is once again my pleasure to turn you over to Aiken Hounds huntsman Chad Wilkes. And Chad has decided to stay with us here so that he can sound once again a customary call before we see our first return entry. And here he is with the sound of Going Away. Very nice call, and we've been so happy to have Chad with us over the course of the last 2 weeks here, really keeping a lot of the tradition alive, as Aiken is known for fox hunting, show jumping, arena show hunters, polo, driving, dressage, eventing, and so much more. It is truly a community steeped in equestrianism, and again, Chad plays a major role in that with the Aiken Hounds, and glad to have him with us once again. Sounding that call to see the first return entry now, first of 12 to do so, in fact. Daniel Geithner comes back with his 150 score. It is Easy Money joining us now, number 637, Easy Money, the Laura Kramer entry, again, out of Upperville, Virginia.
This horse was funny. It didn't really want to canter away from the gate. Thank God Daniel's strong.
Really pushed him through that jump, huh?
Got a little piled up on jump 2.
You know, handiness could include some inside turns, and he definitely made the attempt to do that on the way from 1 to 2, but it looked like you said, maybe it got a little tight going in there. And, of course, the trot fence, number 4, another handy marker. That one didn't pay off, unfortunately.
I think this horse is just 5 steps behind Daniel with every move. He really is. Just changed his lead going down to the hand gallop jump.
Daniel wrapping up the course here with Easy Money. Took 3 higher options around the route. Did pull, unfortunately, the rail at fence number 4 here today on his way. At a 150 coming in. Once again, we'll have a base score, a handy bonus score, and a high option bonus score. That's a lot to keep track of, but 45 will be the base score from both panels. Panel 1 awards 6 handy, and panel 2 awards 5 handy bonus points here today. They did have 3 high option bonus points as well. Pardon me, the lower options chosen throughout the course, and so it'll be just the base and handy points that come into play here. And with that coming into play, the round 2 score will be a 101, and the 2-round total will be a 251. So 251 is the total here for our first in the class in the return round. Next, we go to number 243, and it is one of the 2 qualified rides here for Holly Shepard. 243 is Tybee, 14-year-old Hanoverian mount by Black Tie, and an entry owned by Helen Brown. A little bit more on point with this ride here as Holly goes from 3 to 4, nicely transitioning down into the trot.
I think, like I said before, Holly knows this horse so well. She trusts it. You know, she knows what it can and can't do. And she's going to try and move up a few spots in the order for sure.
Three higher options there for Holly Shepard. Once again with Tybee, she came in with a 150 as well. We had a tie between two 150s in the first round to qualify to come back. So again, 85 points from panel 1, 7 handy bonus points. Panel 2 does the same, an 85 plus 7. And along with the 3 high option bonus points, Holly ends up with a round 2 score of 190. So nicely done in that effort. With their 150 from round 1, she'll have a 2-round total of 340 to set the standard here. Very well done by Tybee, and of course that's going to go to the front of the pack at this point. Liza Boyd comes to us now aboard Corrento, carrying her 161 score from that first round. Camden-based professional with a 15-year-old Holsteiner mount owned by Sherry Crawford. Again, Corrento with a 161 from the first trip. Liza doing what she can early on to overcome the higher obstacles with Corrento. Corrento's looking a little more with it here in the second round, of course.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. He looks way more comfortable this time. Opened up a little bit. He just looked so, like, compressed in the first round. I think a lot of these riders are coming back looking for some extra points to move up in the standings.
And there's room for it for sure. I mean, let's be honest, we saw some pretty good rounds in the first round, but there definitely was room for improvement. We saw quite a few with issues in that first trip as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to shake out and be a little bit different than it was.
You know, interestingly, they all showed in other rings this week. Didn't really have a chance to get down here at all. And they've had 2, pretty full weeks of competition as well. So between the weather change, full weeks of competition, a new venue, lots to come into play here as to how they're going to perform. And unfortunately, in this case, you just saw that last rail come down as well for Liza.
Oh, my God. We were about to hear classic Jack Towel whooping. And the last jump.
Well, unfortunately, there after what we saw as a very nice round for Corrento and Liza, and attacking the course in fine fashion, going for all of the big jumps and the bonus opportunities there, we saw the final rail come down as they wrapped up the course. One of the riders we always look to for that big level of success, and anyone can run into some bad luck, as just took place there with the rail down at the final jump. Scores of 47 from both judging panels, 10 and 8 the handy bonus points awarded, along with 4 high option bonus. That will be a 120. And again, the score could have been oh so much better if it hadn't been for the rail there at the last jump. Things were looking so great up to that point. It'll be a 281 result in the overall here for Corrento and Liza Boyd. 3 have shown so far. We've got 9 more coming up here. We've already seen Holly Shepard with her first ride. She's got another one that would be next in the order, but Daniel Geithner, who's already also shown an entry, is back on his second of 4 qualifiers. That's going to give him a little more time between this and the next mount, but it's Daniel Geithner aboard Pen and Ink now, carrying a 165 from the first trip. And Pen and Ink, the Nancy McBrayer entry, 760 is the number.
Daniel's really attacking this course with this horse. He's got it going forward, looking for the next jump. One high option. He opted for the lower jumps to start. Really hand galloped the jump. Then you kind of have to bring your horse back because the 2-stride, it rides easy. Even though that Oxer's wide, it still rides easy. And then the inside turn to the last jump comes up quick.
Daniel having a pretty good day here, wrapping things up on Pen and Ink. Came in with a 165 again with that entry for Nancy McBrayer. Went to just one of the high options. Scores in, and 87 from Panel 1. They'll add 9 points for handiness. Panel 2 gives an 83 plus 7 points for handiness. Include the high option bonus points, and you've got a 188 score in the second round, a 2-round total of 353. And leading the way right now is Pen and Ink and Daniel Geithner. Keep in mind he's also got 2 more to show. So lots more opportunities here to earn the biggest chunk of the check, a $25,000 prize. Again, the honor of winning the class along with the prize money brought to us by Meadowview Farm. This will be a score of 165.5 coming back in with Catherine Gerriel and Ava, number 498. Catherine's from here in Aiken. Training with Kathy Geithner and aboard this 14-year-old Holsteiner mount. Again, Ava. Now, something to think about here, of course, if you go for the higher options, you're going to get those bonus points for that, but there's an interesting dichotomy there where if you actually go the lower options, particularly early in the course, you can demonstrate some handiness by doing an inside cut between 1 and 2. Actually, the higher option, it's 1, but then you would want to stay to the inside fence at number 2 there. Go to the lower option if you wanted to go to the handy thing. And honestly, you could pick up more bonus points in the handy column than you can in the high option column.
I really think this girl is just playing it safe and jumping around in preparation, probably to show in the amateur hunters tomorrow. You know, she's going to get a good ribbon in this class, and I think that she realizes that and recognizes that and just wants a good experience out of it.
Lower options throughout the course here for Ava and Catherine Gerriel. Scores are 77 and 78. Panel 1 awards 7 handy bonus points. Panel 2 gives 6 in the handy column, and that means a 168 score in that round. Combine it with a 165.5 from round 1, and you've got a 2-round total of 333.5. 33.5 right now is third best. Another Holly Shepard ride coming up. She had a 163 in the first trip, and it's her second entry to return now. 271 the number of Midas for the owner, Margaret Camp, again from Birmingham, Alabama. The 8-year-old Holsteiner mount. Once again, Holly Shepard riding Midas.
So Holly just did the high option to the low option, which I think works out the easiest and probably the smoothest, because it's one like less navigating spot. Little deep to the trot jump, but it put her on the inside for this log, and then all the way down to the hand gallop jump.
Things looking good here for Holly as she approaches what's going to be the high side of the final jump. And that was Holly Shepard going for it aboard Midas. Again for Margaret Camp, the owner. In the process, she took all but one of the higher options today. 3 points will be added to each of the base scores here for the high option bonus. Well, the base score for panel 1 is 86, and we'll add to that 9 handy bonus points. The panel 2 base score, 84 plus 7 handy bonus points. She gets a 192 when you include the high option score there, and the 2-round total for Holly and Midas will be a class-leading 355. She goes to the top here at the midway point of round 2. 6 of 12 have shown so far. So that's the new standard to beat, but we do have our highest ranked entries waiting in the wings next. Aboard the next ride, Amanda Stege, and she's here with Lafitte Demuse. This is number 223, a 10-year-old Belgian mount by Darko, owned by Cheryl Olston. Amanda Stege, again, the Ocala-based professional.
He seems to be a little more comfortable this round also. He doesn't seem as playful as he did in the first round. A little conservative to that oxer.
Took the chance going to the final jump there, and it will be 4 high option bonus points added on to Amanda's score here with Lafitte Demuse. Remember, every time you go to the higher option, it's a little bit more of a challenge. Worth the bonus points if you can pull it off for sure. But as always, the focus needs to be on that style and grace, the performance all around. We'll see what the judges thought about that effort with Lafitte the Muse, again with Amanda Stege for the ride. Scores are in. They'll be identical from both panels, 88 plus 8. Of course, that's the base score plus the handy bonus. And when you combine the 4 high option scores there, that will be a round 2 total of 200. That's going to win the handy round, and it'll combine with our first round score for a 370 to lead the way in the overall standings right now as well. Amanda Stege takes over with Lafitte the Muse with 5 left to go. All right, we do have David Jennings on course here with Jordan Tinas, one of the 5 left to go. 2-5-1. David riding out of Franklin, Tennessee for the owner, Allison Ventura. High options at the first 2 obstacles here for David. Looking very aggressive coming in. Now the transition down from the living jump number 3 to the trot fence number 4. And he'll split the options at 1 to go back around to number 5 now. Again, choosing the higher option there.
This is like David's jump-off round.
Indeed, and he knows how to do those. He's had himself a nice share of victories in the Grand Prix. Pretty good from our angle there for David Jennings and Jordan Tinas, and of course he did go to all of the higher sides on his way to the finish line here with that entry. Jordan Tinas again owned by Allison Ventura out of Nashville. Comes in with the benefit of a 172 from the first trip. That's what got him into the handy round here. Scores are in for David Jennings and Jordan Tinas. The panel 1 result of 86.5 plus 7 for the handy score. The panel 2 result is an 87 plus 8. And that means in the second round, when you include the high option bonus, he'll have a 196.5 and a 2-round total of 368.5. So he's going to be just a 1.5 shy of the leading mark right now into second place. First of 4 left now. It's the very busy rider Daniel Geithner, his 3rd of 4 entries qualified to return. 638 is the number. Saint-Tropez, Daniel's ride for Laura Kramer from Upperville, Virginia. He carries a 174 in from the first trip. Got to give it to Daniel for being so efficient and getting back into the ring here. He's had 3 already. This is his 3rd ride. And it's no easy task to get ready for something like this, but he's definitely come a long way, and being able to school very quickly to prepare for something like this. And I guess that's a testament to practice makes perfect.
Honestly, you can only do so much in the schooling area. These horses are warmed up. They know pretty much what they're doing. I think you just get them loose and you jump a few jumps, hope to get a rub, and then bring it to the ring and hope something like that doesn't happen.
Well, and in this case it did, unfortunately. But, you know, as you said, there's only so much you can do, but a lot of people maybe sometimes overthink it and spend a little bit too much time out there in the warm-up arena. Daniel demonstrating that that's not his practice here. Now, in this case, of course, he did have a knockdown in the round, but that could have happened regardless of what he did out there.
It absolutely could have.
2 higher options there with the Saint-Tropez, so he'll get the benefit of the bonus points for the high sides, but will unfortunately have that sort of wiped away a bit for the knockdown there, and the scores will reflect the rail that came at the Driftwood Oxer number 6. $45.5 plus 7 and a 45 plus 7. The results here for Daniel in his 2nd round aboard Saint-Tropez. We'll have a score of 108.5, including the high options. And then it'll be a 2-round total of 282.5. So that goes into 7th place right now, 282.5. 3 entries remain. Among them, another Daniel Geithner entry. That one, of course, will take a few minutes before he can come back. And so we'll go on to Tori Douglas with MTM Lola LOL, number 587 coming in now. And this one carrying a score of 179 from round 1. Dorothy riding out of Flower Mound and aboard for owner Abigail Davenport. Tori Douglas goes to all of the high sides and gets 4 bonus points from each panel for that with MTM Lola LOL. Again, she had the 179 coming in. Scores of 82 plus 7 and 77 plus 7. That's the base and handy scores from panels 1 and 2 respectively. We will add to that the 4 bonus points for the high options, giving a 181 in the round and a 2-round total of 360. 360 will be the result there for Dory and MTM Lola, LOL. So right now that's going to put her into the overall 3rd place ranking. We've still got the 370 on top as Amanda Stege leads the way with Lafitte Demuse, and 2 remain, Daniel Geithner and Jennifer Jones. They do have the benefit of higher first-round scores to back them up when they return to the ring. But right now, that highest-ranking entry from round 1 will be moving up in the order to give Daniel just a bit more time on his 4th mount. Jenny Jones and Highlighter, number 554, come to us. Highlighter, once again, the David Raposa sales entry with the 180 top score from round 1.
This mare can certainly jump.
There's something funny I've seen so far several times about that turn back from 3 to 4 as they're trying to make that transition and focus on getting it down to the trot. A lot of them don't make the smoothest turn coming back around there.
I think the shadows are starting to come out. They're looking at the decoration.
Definitely a lot of jump in that one for Highlighter and Jennifer Jones. They'll take 4 high options. Jenny Jones benefiting from the bonus points all the way around the course here today, and also, as I mentioned, benefiting from the highest first-round score of a 180. Scores come in at an 84 plus 8 from panel 1 and 85.5 plus 7 from panel 2. She'll score 192.5 in the second round. And again, she had that 180 from round 1, so she's effectively going to be 3rd in the handy trip, but best overall since she started off with that great base of scoring from that first trip. A total in the 2 rounds of 372.5 puts Jenny on top, and that's with just 1 more to go. That last one being the very busy Daniel Geithner with his 4th ride coming up. So 372.5 will be the score to beat. It's going to be a tough one to catch as he comes in with a 176.25. But Daniel's determined, and he's doing his last bit of work there in the schooling area before the return happens. And again, after we wrap up with the final round of competition, we'll be presenting to our top finishers here, with the 6 in reverse order being presented, receiving the RBD Classic Cup for our Derby, sponsored again by Meadowview Farm, presented by R. Scott Evans. The winner presented, of course, with that Classic Cup trophy donated by Jack Wetzel. So that in itself a coveted prize, as well as the prize money, winner's share of a $25,000 check. We, of course, are not finished with competition here tonight. We will have Saturday and Sunday yet to go to finish up our 2021 edition of the Aiken Charity Horse Show. And tomorrow is when our online auction will finish. Please, again, be sure to log on to that. The website, of course, is aikenhorsepark.org/ACHS. And in any of the rings where we've been live streaming over the course of the 2 weeks here, those rounds are not just part of the all-around streaming coverage. They are also split into individual rounds that you can watch online. All you have to do is tell the show office or your paddock master. They'll let them know at the office to bill you for that, and then they'll send you an email link so you can download, distribute, or view the video wherever you would like to do so. So make sure you know that, thanks to Equestrian Digital Media. Also thanks to Sarah and Ann Stanton, A&S Photography, capturing all those great photos. Now it's Daniel Geithner wrapping up with number 513. Here's Tropics, the West Meadow Farm LLC entry, again carrying that 176.25 in from the first trip. Rachel, what are we thinking so far here as Daniel makes his way around? And just one jump left.
Maybe the handiest one of all so far. It just sort of is zipping around and making it really smooth and looks easy. Jumps high and nice, so we'll see what the experts have to say, but that looked like the handiest one so far.
Well, he took all of the high options to give himself that benefit and finished nicely. Looked like a fairly good round from the perspective of the classic hunter style. And also, again, keep in mind this second round gives you quite the big chance to step up in the field if you can demonstrate that handiness. We'll see what the judges thought about all of that as we have the scores coming in. Scores are in for Daniel Geithner once again with Tropics. He'll be awarded an 85.5 from Panel 1. They'll give 8 for handiness. Panel 2 gives an 86.5 plus 7 for handiness. Both panels add on the 4 high option bonus points, and all told, that's a 195 in round 2 action, and a 2-round total of 371.5. 371.25, that is, will actually climb up into the second spot. So he gains 1 position in the final ranking and goes just behind our winning rider, Jennifer Jones, and highlighter as we now prepare for the awards. Our top 12 get prize money. Our top 6 will be presented in the arena. Thanks to our coordinators, of course, Missy McCutcheon and Jennifer Glass. We, of course, also have our Scott Evans with us here to present our prizes, and the class presented again by Meadowview Farm. We salute them for being on board and making our Aiken Charity Horse Show such an incredible event. Now, of course, those sponsors combine their efforts year after year here to make Aiken a very special place to be in the springtime, particularly in our 2 weeks of May. Results are coming up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we do have ribbons available for your second round action, but the most important thing is the final overall result. We'd like to, as we've done in the previous classes here, take you all the way from bottom to top among our top 12 finishers in reverse order, working our way into the 6 who will, in fact, parade for the ribbons here in the arena. Starting off with our 12th place finish, that went to number 637. Again, in 12th place, that was easy money. Daniel Geithner for Laura Kramer out of Upperville, Virginia. The 11th prize going to number 305. That's Carento. Liza Boyd for Sherry Crawford from Marshall, Virginia in 11th. 10th on the card goes to 638. Another Daniel Geithner ride, Saint-Tropez, and that was a Laura Kramer entry as well out of Upperville. 9th place honors with a 333.5 go to number 498, Catherine Gerriel, another Aiken-based rider training with Kathy Geithner, and Ava was your 9th award finisher. The 8th goes to number 243, Tybee. That was Holly Shepard and the Helen Brown entry out of Alpharetta, Georgia. And in 7th place, 760, was Pen and Ink. Daniel Geithner also aboard that one for Nancy McBrayer out of Alpharetta for, again, 7th. The top 6 are the ones who will ride for the honors, and we want to salute now number 271, and that will be Midas, Holly Shepard with the Margaret Camp entry out of Birmingham, Alabama. Holly, of course, based out of Grand Bay. Always an exciting rider to watch, whether it's in the Hunter Derby or our Grand Prix arena, and always one you can count on to give you a great performance and compete for the biggest ribbons. She's 6th place here on, once again, Midas, finishing with a 3:55 result. She'll join Jennifer Glass, adorned with the green ribbon for 6th, and await that victory pass. The 5th place finisher, 587, will be Dorothy Douglas, here with Abigail Davenport's MTM Lola, LOL. That one out of Devon, Pennsylvania, with the rider all the way from Flower Mound, Texas. Top 4 placings now as we salute number 251. David Jennings from Franklin, Tennessee, with Allison Ventura's Jordan Tinas. He posted a 368.5 for the white ribbon, again in 4th place. And now we're into the top 3 finishers. The score was a 370 for our 3rd place entry here today. That was Amanda Stege, showing out of Ocala, Florida, with her entry of Cheryl Olston from New Hope, Pennsylvania, Lafitte de Muse. And, of course, we watched Daniel Geithner show 4 entries successfully into the second round. The best of those, your runner-up, number 513, Tropics. Daniel for West Meadow Farm out of Santa Barbara, California, all the way out on the left coast. 371.25 is what gave him the reserve champion prize. But the best finish of all was that of Jenny Jones, who posted the best first-round score and came in to a 372.5 when it was all said and done. She was your winner here today aboard Highlighter for David Raposa Sales, LLC, out of Clinton, New York. Jenny Jones stepping up for the victory ribbon, and, of course, she will receive that coveted RBD Classic Cup trophy donated by Jack Wetzel. Of course, in honor of our Bruce Duchessois, our Scott Evans here to present the award, along with Chad Wilkes from the Aiken Hounds. Jennifer Glass doing the honors here to put the tricolor ribbon on our winning mount. Again, it's Highlighter, and they will again receive the RBD Classic Cup. They're also going to, of course, pick up the top share of a $25,000 prize. And, of course, we'll be capturing the winning moment here. The event brought to us by Meadowview Farm. And we do have with us Sarah Stanton of A&S Photography to capture that winning moment, along with the Kate Belgian, of course, from the Aiken Horse Park and Bruce's Field. And now the last order of business is that victory pass. Jennifer Jones, no stranger either to the winner's circle, will lead the way in the round of honor to wrap things up for our Friday edition of Week 2 here at the Aiken Charity Horse Show. Give her a hand, folks, whether you're with us here on site or if you're watching on that live stream. We can feel you being with us, so we're glad that you're there. Congratulations again to Jennifer Jones with Highlighter, the David Raposa Sales entry, topping the card in our feature hunter event. One more round for our winner, an independent Tour of Honor for Jenny Jones and Highlighter. Well done. It's been a great day of competition all the way since the beginning of our special event schedule here, when the early classes were those National Derby competitors vying for their spot in the professional and junior and amateur ranks, all the way into our International Hunter Derby with Jenny Jones topping the field of 23 starters. And thanks again to Meadow View for their support of our competition. We'll start up here again bright and early tomorrow morning. We're going into our final weekend of the Aiken Charity 2021. Please remember, our feature event tomorrow will begin at 4 o'clock in our $50,000 Grand Prix. We'll see you tomorrow morning all the way through the day and right back here on site at Bruce's Field or on our live streaming coverage with that Grand Prix feature class.